Alright, on this page I'm going to quickly kind of talk about some of the things that I'm expecting you to do this week. I have my website right now, my Khan Academy profile on the student view. So when you log in, you should have something very similar with this home button, profile, badges, progress, etc., etc. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get right into the SAT stuff by clicking one of my SAT links. It's going to take a while to load. Okay. So now I'm at my SAT kind of dashboard here, and we will be focusing on reading and writing, and this will give me skill levels and everything once I take the pre-assessments. But for now, just go to tips and strategies. We're going to go through this more formally later as the SAT comes along, but now let's just focus on the English stuff, the literature and the writing and reading and literacy. So we're going to start this week by familiarizing ourselves in particular with this reading test. So go ahead and watch the video that says Introduction to the SAT Reading Test. Then we're going to come to the overview here. Something else that I do want you to read through, right? It gives you the topics, it gives you the kind of questions, or what the questions are asking for. And we're going to talk about today specifically rhetoric and synthesis, and also this information and ideas. So this is stuff I need you to read on your own. Content areas, please read on your own. But for these three, we'll kind of go through them together. So the SAT reading test for information and ideas, all it's asking you to do is answer various questions about the basic information and the basic ideas that the author is trying to get across in a particular passage. So in order to interpret the author's message, you'll need to consider what's stated and what's implied, strongly suggested in a passage. So the questions are going to ask you to identify information and ideas explicitly stated in the text or to draw reasonable inferences and logical conclusions from the text. In some cases, the questions will ask you to apply information and ideas in a text to a new analogous situation, so a similar situation. So this is just going to give you some example questions, right? Like number 9, the passage most strongly suggests that Adelita used which of the following to navigate her long 9,000-mile journey. So you're saying, is it the current, or is it the cues from these coils, is it blah, 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 blah. Some questions are going to ask you to provide what is the best evidence for a certain question. So you pick the lines, the words within the text, the sentences within the text that best provide evidence, right? They function as evidence. You're going to be asked to determine central ideas and themes. You're going to be asked to summarize. You're going to be asked to understand relationships and pick a statement that best describes a relationship. You're going to be asked to interpret words and phrases in context, right? So, like number 2 here, they're going to ask you basically for a synonym for intense, but not just a synonym. You're looking for the correct connotation of a word. Because intense can mean a lot of these things. Emotionally intense can mean that you're concentrated on something, that you're brilliant about something. So these pages are going to be really useful. I kind of just quickly read through this one, but it tells you exactly what you need to know to be successful on this test. The rhetoric is where it gets interesting and where I can give you guys some tips because of the kinds of things that they're asking you to do. So for rhetoric is the study of writing or speaking, and it asks you to kind of make decisions, not make decisions, but make judgments as to the choices that the author is making when they write a text, when they structure it, when they develop it, right? So you're going to be asked to analyze word choice. So this one gives 3 words, that specific words that the author uses, and asks what the effect of this is. What's the function of this? Is it to confirm? Is it to counter? Is it to support? Is it to emphasize? And you got to decide, what is the author's purpose? Is he confirming with this line? Is he countering? Is he supporting? Is he emphasizing? Or is she, right? Analyzing text structure. Which choice best describes the developmental pattern of the passage? You have to know the difference between analysis, a depiction, a detailed depiction, a response, and a recounting. So these words right here, the nouns in any given answer, are going to be really important. And you have to know the difference between these kinds of things. We're going to learn that over the course of the year, but it's good to know what's coming from the get-go. So point of view is important, and purpose is definitely important. So is the purpose of a random paragraph to describe, criticize, question, or analyze. You got to be able to analyze arguments, claims, etc., etc. And then lastly, we have the synthesis. So these questions ask you to draw conclusions and make connections between two related passages. So you have two texts this time, or between passages and graphics, so pictures. You might have a text and a picture. So you're going to have to analyze multiple texts and then answer questions that deal with both of them, right? So like one of the skills you're going to need to know is how do two different authors treat the same kind of subject or topic differently or similarly? This is an example of one of the graphics you might see. Alright, so that's just a quick explanation of just some of the things this site can do for you. So as far as the reading test goes, just know that very soon in this quarter we're going to be getting into many of these reading skills. Specifically, we'll start with information and ideas next week. Then we'll move on to rhetoric, and then synthesis. So we're not going to directly work with Khan all the time. This week we're going to immerse ourselves in Khan Academy and kind of getting used to the vast variety of things that we have to learn to be successful. So just know this week we're going to go full on into Khan just to practice. But then as we go throughout the year, we're going to use if you go back to the tips and strategies site, we're kind of going to use this to, starting here with the reading, we're going to use this to structure a lot of our year. So starting with the reading, going to writing and language, and then finally essay writing. I highly recommend you look through this other stuff, especially as the test comes closer, especially this how to prep for the SAT. This website has a lot of useful resources and practice materials for you to use, so please do use them. So next week we're going to go into information and ideas. This week we're kind of hitting everything just as a diagnostic, as I titled in the week, just to see what you know.